Marcus Thompson never imagined his life would change so dramatically when he answered that phone call on a rainy Tuesday morning in Liverpool. The 4-year-old mechanic was wiping grease from his hands when his mobile buzzed with an unknown London number. "Is this Marcus Thompson?" the crisp voice asked. "Son of Patricia Thompson, born 1967 inches. Cardiff." Marcus hesitated. His mother had died when he was 12, and he rarely spoke about her past. "Who's asking?" "My name is Detective Inspector James Harrison from the Metropolitan Police. We need to speak with you urgently about a matter concerning your family background." The words sent a chill down Marcus's spine. He had been living a quiet life in his small flat above the garage where he worked, fixing cars and motorcycles for the working-class neighborhood. His biggest worry had been making rent, not dealing with London police. 3 days later, Marcus found himself on a train to London, his mind racing with questions. The detective had been vague on the phone, mentioning only that new information had emerged about his mother's past that could affect his safety. As the countryside blurred past his window, Marcus tried to piece together what little he knew about Patricia Thompson. She had been a beautiful woman with secrets. Marcus remembered her nervous habits, how she would check the locks twice before bed, and how she never spoke about his father. When she died in a car accident when Marcus was 12, he was sent to live with his elderly grandmother, who knew even less about Patricia's mysterious past. The Metropolitan Police building in central London intimidated Marcus as he approached its imposing facade. Detective Inspector Harrison met him at reception, a tall man with graying hair and tired eyes that had seen too much. "Thank you for coming, Mr. Thompson," Harrison said, leading him through security checkpoints. "What I'm about to tell you will be difficult to process, but it's crucial for your safety." They entered a small interview room where Harrison placed a thick file on the table between them. "Your mother, Patricia Thompson, wasn't her real name. She was actually Patricia Windsor, and she had connections to the royal family that she kept hidden her entire adult life." Marcus stared at the detective, certain he had misheard. "That's impossible. My mum worked in a bakery. She had nothing to do with any royal family." Harrison opened the file, revealing photographs and documents. "Your mother was involved in a relationship with someone very close to the current queen consort, Camilla Parker Bowles, before she became part of the royal family. This person was Tom Parker Bowles, Camilla's son from her first marriage." The room seemed to spin around Marcus. The detective continued, his voice steady but grim. "Your mother became pregnant in 1989 during her relationship with Tom Parker Bowles. You, Marcus, are his son. This makes you connected to the royal family through Queen Camilla, who is now your step-grandmother." Marcus felt his breath catch in his throat. "That can't be true. My mum never mentioned any of this. She fled London when she discovered she was pregnant," Harrison explained, sliding more documents across the table. "Tom Parker Bowles was already involved with someone else, and your mother knew that revealing the pregnancy would cause a scandal that could affect Camilla's relationship with Prince Charles, who later became King Charles III. 1. The detective's expression grew more serious. "Your mother changed her identity and moved to Cardiff. Then later, to Liverpool. She never told anyone about your true parentage. Not even you. But 3 weeks ago, someone leaked this information to a tabloid journalist who has been investigating royal family secrets." Marcus's hands trembled as he picked up one of the photographs showing his mother as a young woman standing next to a man who bore a striking resemblance to him. The man was clearly Tom Parker Bowles, recognizable from his appearances in the media over the years. "The leak has created a serious security concern," Harrison continued. "There are people who would use this information to embarrass the royal family, and others who might see you as a threat to be eliminated. We've received credible intelligence that someone has put a contract out on your life." The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. "A contract? You mean someone wants to kill me because of who my father is? Not necessarily because of who your father is, but because of what you represent," Harrison clarified. "If this story becomes public, it could damage Queen Camilla's reputation and call into question the royal family's private affairs from decades ago. Some people with extreme loyalty to the monarchy might see your elimination as protecting the crown." Marcus stood up abruptly, pacing to the small window that overlooked the busy London street. This is insane. I never asked for any of this. I just want to fix cars and live my life in peace. Unfortunately, peace might not be an option anymore, Harrison said quietly. We've intercepted communications, suggesting that professional operatives have been hired to make your death look like an accident. The threat is very real, Mr. Thompson. The detective stood and moved to stand beside Marcus at the window. We can offer you protection, but it means leaving your old life behind. New identity, new location, possibly new country. Or we can help you confront this situation directly. But that comes with significant risks. Marcus stared out at the people walking below, oblivious to the extraordinary circumstances unfolding in the room above them. What kind of risks? We believe the order came from someone with significant resources and connections to both organized crime and political circles. This isn't just about royal embarrassment anymore. There are financial interests at stake, business deals that could be affected if certain royal connections become public knowledge. Harrison returned to the table and pulled out another photograph. This man, Viktor Kozlov, is a Russian businessman who has been trying to establish legitimate business relationships with members of the British establishment. If your connection to the royal family becomes public, it could expose other relationships that certain people want to keep private. The photograph showed a stern-faced man in an expensive suit standing next to several people Marcus didn't recognize. What does this have to do with me? Kozlov has invested heavily in businesses connected to people who socialize with the royal family. If a scandal emerges about hidden royal connections, it could trigger investigations into all sorts of relationships and financial arrangements. You've become a loose thread that some people want to cut before it unravels their carefully constructed networks. Marcus felt overwhelmed by the complexity of the situation. How did you find out about the threat against me? We have an informant inside Kozlov's organization, Harrison admitted. Someone who has been feeding us information about attempts to influence British politics and business through royal connections. They warned us that your elimination was being planned. The detective's phone buzzed with a text message. Harrison read it quickly, his expression becoming more urgent. Mr. Thompson, we need to move you to a safe location immediately. Our informant just sent word that the timeline has been moved up. The threat against you is imminent. Marcus's legs felt weak as the reality of his situation fully hit him. You're telling me that someone could try to kill me today because my mother had a relationship with Queen Camilla's son 35 years ago? That's exactly what I'm telling you, Harrison said, already moving toward the door. And we have reason to believe they've already located your flat in Liverpool. We need to get you to a secure location while we figure out our next steps. As they hurried through the corridors of the police building, Marcus's mind raced with questions about his mother's secret past and the dangerous present it had created. The ordinary life he had known was disappearing behind him with each step, replaced by a reality stranger and more threatening than anything he could have imagined. Harrison led him to an unmarked car waiting in the building's secure parking garage. Where are we going? Marcus asked, as they climbed into the vehicle. Somewhere safe, Harrison replied, but his grim expression suggested that nowhere might be truly safe anymore. And then we're going to figure out how to keep you alive long enough to decide what kind of life you want to have going forward. As the car pulled out into London traffic, Marcus caught sight of his reflection in the window and wondered if he was looking at the face of someone who might not live to see another week. The ordinary mechanic from Liverpool had become the center of a dangerous game involving royal secrets, international business interests, and people willing to kill to protect their arrangements. The car merged into the flow of traffic, carrying Marcus toward an uncertain future where every decision could be a matter of life and death. Behind them, the Metropolitan Police Building disappeared into the London skyline, along with any hope of returning to the simple life Marcus had known just hours before. The safe house turned out to be a modest cottage in the countryside outside Winchester, surrounded by fields and accessible only by a single winding road. Detective Inspector Harrison had driven Marcus there in silence, both men lost in thought about the gravity of the situation. As they approached the property, Marcus noticed another car already parked in the driveway. Who else is here? Marcus asked nervously. Someone who might be able to help us understand exactly what we're dealing with, Harrison replied, pulling up behind the other vehicle. Inside the cottage, Marcus was introduced to Sarah Chen, a former intelligence officer who now worked as a private security consultant specializing in threats against high-profile individuals. She was a compact woman in her 40s with sharp eyes that seemed to take in every detail of her surroundings. "Mr. Thompson," she said, extending her hand. "I've been briefed on your situation. We need to talk about your options, and I'm afraid none of them are particularly appealing." They sat around a small kitchen table, while Sarah spread out surveillance photographs and documents. "The threat against you is more sophisticated than Detective Harrison initially realized. We're not dealing with simple hired thugs. The people hunting you are professionals with military training and international connections." She pointed to a photograph of a man with distinctive scars on his neck. "This is Dmitry Volkov, a former Spetsnaz operative who now works as an independent contractor for people who need problems solved permanently. He arrived in Britain 3 days ago under a false passport." Marcus studied the photograph, memorizing the face of the man who might be trying to kill him. "How do you know all this?" "Because Volkov has been careless," Sarah explained. "He's been tracked by multiple intelligence services across Europe for the past 2 years. The problem is that he's also been very successful. 7 targets in 5 countries, all made to look like accidents or coincidences." Harrison leaned forward. "What kind of accidents?" "Car crashes, falls downstairs, food poisoning, heart attacks induced by untraceable substances," Sarah listed grimly. "Volkov specializes in making murders look natural. If he succeeds with you, Mr. Thompson, the official cause of death will be something that doesn't raise suspicions." Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. "How long do I have?" "How?" Based on his previous patterns, Volkov likes to study his targets for several days before acting. He'll want to learn your routines, identify the best opportunity, and plan his escape route. Since you're no longer at your flat in Liverpool, he'll need to locate you first." Sarah pulled out her laptop and showed them a map of the local area. "This cottage is secure for now, but it won't remain secret indefinitely. We estimate you have perhaps 48 hours before Volkov or his associates track you here." "What happens then?" Marcus asked. "Then we either move you again, or we turn you from prey into bait," Sarah said matter-of-factly. Harrison looked surprised. "You're suggesting we use Marcus to draw out Volkov?" "It's one option," Sarah confirmed, "but it's extremely dangerous. The alternative is to keep running indefinitely, changing locations and identities until whoever hired Volkov decides the risk isn't worth the investment." Marcus stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the peaceful countryside. It was hard to believe that somewhere out there, a professional killer was searching for him. "What about going public with the story? If everyone knows about my connection to the royal family, maybe there's no point in killing me." "That's actually the worst thing you could do," Sarah said firmly. "Going public would confirm that you're a genuine threat to certain people's interests. Right now, they're trying to eliminate a potential problem. If you become a public figure, you become a definite target for multiple groups." Harrison's phone rang, and he stepped away to take the call. Marcus could hear only fragments of the conversation, but Harrison's increasingly tense expressions suggested bad news. "That was my supervisor," Harrison said when he returned. "There's been a development. Viktor Kozlov has left the country suddenly, flying to Dubai on a private jet this morning. His departure suggests either that he's distancing himself from whatever is about to happen, or that the timeline for the operation against you has been moved up significantly." Sarah immediately began packing her laptop. "We need to move. Now. If Kozlov has fled, it means Volkov has been given authorization to proceed immediately." As they hurriedly gathered their belongings, Marcus felt a strange calm settle over him. The constant anxiety of the unknown was being replaced by the clarity of immediate danger. "Where do we go now?" "London," Sarah said. "Counterintuitively, you'll be safer in a crowd than hiding in isolated locations. Volkov works best when he can control the environment. In a busy city, there are too many variables for him to manage perfectly." They loaded into 2 cars, with Sarah driving Marcus in her vehicle, while Harrison followed in his police car. As they headed back toward London, Sarah explained the plan. "We're going to a hotel in central London, where you'll be registered under a false name. The hotel has excellent security, multiple exits, and enough foot traffic to make surveillance difficult. While you're there, we'll try to identify Volkov's location and determine who else might be involved in the operation against you. The drive back to London felt surreal to Marcus. Just 2 days ago, his biggest concern had been a difficult transmission repair on a customer's van. Now he was being hunted by a professional killer because of royal family secrets he had never known existed. "Can I ask you something?" Marcus said to Sarah as they navigated through traffic. "Do you think my father, Tom Parker Bowles, knows about me?" Sarah considered the question carefully. "It's possible he knows, but it's also possible your mother never told him about the pregnancy. From what we've learned, she disappeared very suddenly. Tom Parker Bowles may have spent years wondering what happened to her. What kind of man is he? By all accounts, he's a decent person who has tried to stay out of the public spotlight despite his family connections. He's a food writer and critic, not someone involved in politics or business deals that would make him a target for people like Kozlov." They arrived at the hotel just as the afternoon traffic was reaching its peak. The Churchill Hotel was a grand establishment near Hyde Park, busy enough to provide anonymity but secure enough to offer some protection. Sarah had chosen it specifically because its layout made it difficult for a single person to monitor all the exits. Marcus was registered as David Wilson, a businessman from Manchester. His room was on the 7th floor with a view of the park. Sarah took the room next door, while Harrison arranged for plainclothes officers to maintain surveillance from the lobby and nearby streets. "What do I do now?" Marcus asked as they reviewed the security arrangements. "You wait," Sarah said, "and you think about what kind of life you want when this is over. Because regardless of how this situation resolves, your old life in Liverpool is finished. Too many people know about you now." That evening, as Marcus sat in his hotel room looking out at the lights of London, he tried to process the enormity of his changed circumstances. Somewhere in this city, his biological father was probably having dinner with his family, unaware that his secret son was hiding from assassins. Somewhere else, Queen Camilla was attending royal functions, not knowing that her step-grandson was fighting for his life. His phone, a secure device provided by Sarah, buzzed with a text message. "Room service will be delivered in 10 minutes. Answer the door only if they use the code phrase, 'Compliments of the chef.' If they don't use the phrase, call me immediately." Marcus realized that even something as simple as ordering food had become potentially dangerous. He was living in a world where any unexpected knock could be his last. The food arrived right on schedule, delivered by a nervous young man who correctly used the code phrase. As Marcus ate his dinner, he wondered how long he could maintain this level of vigilance without losing his sanity. Around midnight, as he was finally drifting off to sleep, Marcus heard a soft sound from the corridor outside his room, footsteps that seemed too careful, too deliberate for a hotel guest returning late from dinner. His phone was in his hand instantly, ready to call Sarah. But before he could dial, he heard her voice through the thin wall between their rooms, speaking quietly but urgently to someone. "He's here," she was saying. "Volkov is in the hotel." Marcus pressed his ear against the wall, straining to hear more of Sarah's conversation. His heart hammered so loudly, he worried it might give away his position. Through the thin hotel wall, he could make out fragments of urgent whispers. 3rd floor, maintenance uniform, elevator shaft. 20 minutes maximum. The realization hit him like ice water. Dmitry Volkov wasn't just in the hotel, he was actively moving toward Marcus's room. The professional killer had somehow bypassed the lobby security and was using the building's service areas to reach his target. Marcus's phone vibrated with a text from Sarah. "Stay calm. Do exactly as I say. Go to your bathroom and lock the door. Wait for my signal." His hands shaking, Marcus moved as quietly as possible across the hotel room carpet. Each step seemed to echo in the silence. The bathroom door closed behind him with a soft click, and he turned the lock with trembling fingers. Another text appeared. "Volkov believes you're asleep in the main room. We're going to let him break in, then surround him. Police are in position. Do not come out until I tell you." Marcus sat on the bathroom floor, his back against the door, and tried to control his breathing. The absurdity of his situation struck him again. 3 days ago, he had been an anonymous mechanic. Now he was hiding in a hotel bathroom while armed police prepared to capture a Russian assassin who wanted to kill him because of royal family secrets. Minutes passed like hours. Then Marcus heard it, the faintest sound of the hotel room door opening. Someone had entered his room with professional silence. The intruder was moving carefully, probably checking the bed first. Through the bathroom door, Marcus could hear almost nothing, but he imagined Volkov discovering that his target wasn't asleep in the bed as expected. He pictured the killer's confusion, then growing awareness that something was wrong. Suddenly, the bathroom door handle rattled. Someone was testing the lock. Marcus held his breath as the handle turned slowly back and forth. On the other side of the thin door, a professional killer was deciding whether to break down the barrier or retreat. "Marcus Thompson?" The voice was accented, calm, almost conversational. "I know you're in there. This doesn't have to be difficult." Marcus said nothing, his entire body frozen with terror. "Your mother was a beautiful woman." Volkov continued through the door. "Patricia Windsor. I've seen the photographs from when she was young. You look very much like her." The casual mention of his mother's real name sent rage through Marcus's fear. This stranger had studied his family history, had learned intimate details about people he loved, all to better plan their murder. "She made a mistake, getting involved with powerful people," Volkov went on. "And now you're paying for her mistake. But it doesn't have to be painful. Open the door, and I'll make it very quick." Marcus gripped his phone, waiting for Sarah's signal. Where were the police? How long could a bathroom door hold against someone determined to break it down? "I know you're frightened," Volkov said. "But think about this practically. I'm very good at my job. If not tonight, then tomorrow. If not here, then wherever you run next. You can't hide forever from people with unlimited resources." The door handle stopped rattling. For a moment, Marcus thought perhaps Volkov had given up and left. Then he heard a different sound. Metal against wood. The killer was picking the lock. Marcus's phone buzzed. Now, police moving in. Almost immediately, the sounds from the main room changed dramatically. Heavy footsteps, shouted commands, furniture being knocked over. Someone was fighting. And it wasn't just a simple arrest. Armed police. "Drop your weapons. Get on the ground now." The sounds of struggle continued for several minutes. Marcus heard what might have been gunshots, or perhaps just doors slamming. Then, gradually, the commotion subsided. A familiar voice called through the bathroom door. "Marcus, it's Detective Inspector Harrison. You can come out now." Marcus unlocked the door with shaking hands and stepped into the hotel room. The scene was chaotic. Furniture had been overturned, there were bullet holes in the walls, and several armed police officers were securing the area. Near the main door, a man in maintenance coveralls was handcuffed and bleeding from what appeared to be a wound to his shoulder. Dmitry Volkov looked smaller in person than Marcus had expected. The legendary assassin was now just a middle-aged man with gray hair and tired eyes, sitting on the floor with his hands secured behind his back. "Is it over?" Marcus asked Harrison. "This part is over," Harrison replied carefully. "But we need to determine who hired Volkov and whether there are other threats we haven't identified yet." Sarah Chen emerged from what had apparently been a hiding spot behind the hotel room's heavy curtains. She was holding a recording device and looked grimly satisfied. "Volkov was very talkative before the police arrived," she announced. "He thought he was alone with his target, so he revealed more than he probably intended." She played back the recording, and Marcus heard his own terrified silence, followed by Volkov's voice. "Your mother was a beautiful woman, Patricia Windsor." But the recording continued beyond what Marcus had heard through the bathroom door. After Marcus had stopped responding, Volkov had apparently started talking to himself, or perhaps to someone he was communicating with through an earpiece. "The target is secured in the bathroom," Volkov's recorded voice said. "But something feels wrong about this setup. Too easy to find him. Too convenient. Tell Kozlov I think this might be a trap." The recording continued with Volkov's side of what was clearly a phone conversation. "No, I can complete the job, but I want the rest of my payment transferred now, before I proceed." This Thompson situation has too many complications. A pause then. Fine. But after this job, I'm done with royal family problems. These British clients are becoming too paranoid about every minor scandal. Sarah stopped the recording. Volkov just confirmed that Viktor Kozlov hired him, and that this is specifically about preventing royal family embarrassment. But more importantly, he suggests there have been other similar jobs involving the royal family. Harrison looked troubled. Other jobs? You mean other people have been killed to protect royal family secrets? That's exactly what it sounds like, Sarah confirmed. This isn't the first time Kozlov has hired Volkov for this type of work. Marcus felt sick. How many people have died because of connections to the royal family? We don't know yet, Harrison admitted. But Volkov's phone contains contact information that our cybercrimes unit is analyzing. We may be able to identify other victims and other clients. As the police prepared to transport Volkov to a secure facility for interrogation, the assassin looked directly at Marcus for the first time. You should know, Volkov said calmly, that killing you would have been a kindness. The people who hired me don't give up easily. If I failed, they'll send someone else, and the next person might not be as professional as I am. Sarah stepped between Marcus and Volkov. That's enough. Get him out of here. As the police led Volkov away, Marcus slumped into one of the room's overturned chairs. What happens now? Now we have choices to make, Harrison said. We can try to build a case against Kozlov and anyone else involved in these assassinations. But that would require you to testify, which means going public with your story. And if I don't want to testify? Sarah answered. Then we arrange a new identity for you in a different country. And you disappear completely. But you'd never be able to contact anyone from your old life again. Marcus thought about his friends at the garage in Liverpool, the small community that had been his entire world until 3 days ago. Could he really abandon everything he had ever known? There's a third option, Harrison said quietly. We could arrange for you to meet your biological father, Tom Parker Bowles. Let him know about the situation and see if he wants to take responsibility for protecting you. The suggestion stunned Marcus. You think he would do that? A man who doesn't even know I exist? People often surprise you when they learn they have children, Sarah observed. And Tom Parker Bowles has resources and connections that could offer you protection that the police can't provide long-term. Marcus walked to the hotel window and looked out at London's sprawling lights. Somewhere out there, his father was living his life, unaware that his secret son had just survived an assassination attempt. Somewhere else, Queen Camilla was sleeping peacefully, not knowing that her step-grandson existed. If I meet him, Marcus said slowly, what would I say? Hello. I'm the son you never knew you had. And by the way, people are trying to kill me because of our connection? Sometimes the truth, however complicated, is the only way forward, Harrison suggested. Marcus turned back to face the detective and the security consultant who had saved his life. And what if he doesn't want anything to do with me? What if he decides I'm too dangerous to acknowledge? Then we'll know where we stand, Sarah said pragmatically. And we'll plan accordingly. As dawn began to break over London, Marcus realized that his life had been permanently divided into before and after this week. The ordinary man from Liverpool was gone forever, replaced by someone who would always be looking over his shoulder, always wondering if the next stranger might be an enemy. But he was alive, and Dmitry Volkov was in custody. For now, that would have to be enough. All right, Marcus said finally. Let's arrange the meeting with my father. I think it's time Tom Parker Bowles learned he has a son. Harrison nodded and reached for his phone to begin making the arrangements that would bring together two people whose lives had been connected for 35 years without either of them knowing it. The conversation that would follow would determine whether Marcus Thompson had found a protector in his newfound family, or whether he would spend the rest of his life running from the dangerous legacy of his royal connections. Outside the hotel window, London was waking up to another ordinary day, unaware that in one small room, extraordinary decisions were being made that would ripple through the highest levels of British society.